Hey y'all, it's Cameron and welcome back to the hermind.podcast. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, thank you for supporting. Make sure you guys subscribe, follow, like, all the good stuff, comment, you know the vibes. So, if you guys don't know, on Monday I was supposed to upload this podcast. So, this is what happened. I filmed, recorded, edited it, all that stuff. It got deleted. All the footage deleted. I was so mad, but life goes on. I'm recording it now. It's Thursday. I think I'm gonna upload it tonight, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But we're just gonna get straight into it. Also, this is gonna be raw, uncut, unedited. Like I might not even watch it back. Maybe I will. But I'm drained, honestly. Like I did all that just for it to delete. So here we are. Also, I would have re-recorded all this stuff on Tuesday or Wednesday, but it just wasn't working out for me because I had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life. If you know, you know. Just kidding. Anyways, um today's topic is mindset, consistency, and growth. So I felt like I should touch on this topic because the whole purpose of this podcast is I want it to be self growth stuff and hot takes. Okay. And why not just start off with self growth? And we're going to wait until my lovely guests come sometime soon for the hot takes to just get the ball rolling. So, the first thing I want to talk about is mindset. So, mindset is really important because how you speak to yourself will affect your mindset. People really will underestimate how strong and powerful our brain is. And if you're just having a good mindset and well no if you're just talking to yourself positively, it'll impact your mindset. Also, it'll affect your confidence. You will become more confident and have a better mindset if you just speak life into yourself and light into yourself. Like confidence is so important because how are you going to achieve any of the goals you have if you don't even have the confidence for it? And how are you going to have the confidence for it if you're not speaking those good things to yourself to transform your mindset? So, yeah, having a lack of confidence is going to plummet you in so many ways. You're going to have so much self doubt. You're not going to be able to get anything done, and you're just going to be looking lost and confused, honestly, because you're just, you're really not your highest self when you're not confident, honestly. So, you know, make sure you do that. Another thing is do not let the little things in your life interrupt you. And when I say that, I mean, if, for instance, you wake up one day and your hair looks a mess because you were supposed to get your hair done and now you can't get your hair done, and you let that little thing just affect your whole day, get it together. Like, literally, do what I did today. Slick your hair back in a little ponytail, do your edges, put on some mascara, and you'll be fine. If you're a dude, get a haircut. Oh wait, you can't. You can't get a haircut. If you're a dude, you can't get a haircut. Put on a ski mask, a beanie, a headband, even. I don't know. Do like you know the point. Like you can't let little stuff like that affect your day. It's honestly it's not conventional because I feel like nowadays it's so many things you can do last minute to enhance your appearance if you feel like that'll ruin your confidence or if you feel like that'll like bring you down and like ruin your day. It's so many things that you can do. So why are you sitting here scrambling and sorrowful and sad the whole day because your hair's not done? Anyways, that's all of that. Um, the next part is who do you surround yourself with? I noticed that when I had people in my life who weren't really secure in themselves and weren't really confident in themselves, didn't have goals for themselves or any of that stuff, they tried to project all that onto me and make me try to lower my goals and water myself down just because they didn't have their stuff together. I'm not gonna cuss, but just because they didn't have their stuff together, like they just was like trying to bring me down. And honestly, it was certain points of time where it did affect my mindset, and it made me feel like I couldn't do X, Y, and Z because literally they made it seem like what I wanted was unattainable. And really, nothing that you want is going to be unattainable as long as you have the right mindset. So, and it's just really important to surround yourself with people who have goals that are similar to yours, or even if they're not similar to yours, people who just have goals in general, because they're not going to have any work ethic. They're not going to have any drive. They're not going to have anything but negativity, just bringing them down. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Also, another thing is about how they uplift you when you're down and how they support you when you're up. So, if you're already down and you're around someone who's just making you feel worse, or automatically they're like, oh, well, I'm going through this, this, and this, and this, and this. What you're going through is nothing. Like, no, like you need to surround yourself with people who are going to help, like, make you feel better when you're down, but also, give you reality checks if you need them, but people who are going to like uplift you when you're down. And then also people to support you when you're up. Why on earth are the people who you surround yourself with jealous of your accomplishments? Like, you have to realize that. I feel like once you start like cutting certain people off who just make you unhappy in general, then like you're gonna look back and notice like they made me unhappy because they were being negative Nancy's when I was achieving my goals. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. You're sitting here letting someone who's unemployed, no car, no job, no money, no goals, no internship, sitting here telling you that your accomplishments aren't good enough. What sense does that make? Like, don't sit here and let people who are already beneath you try to bring you down. And if you're trying to get up, how are you going to get up if you're just around a whole bunch of people who are beneath you? It doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah. Also, you shouldn't be surrounding yourself with people who are distracting you and deterring you from your goals. If you know, let's say for instance, like you're in college, you have a big test coming up, and you're surrounded with people who are like, oh yeah, let's go to this party and let's go to the club and let's go get drunk and let's go do this and the third and not study for our test. You're surrounding yourself with people who are only gonna pull you further away from your goals. You need to have people who are like, oh yeah, you don't need to be out tonight. You need to be studying because that's a very important class, etc. etc. Um but also you have to have your own willpower in a way also to be able to say no, in addition to being able to be like, these friends are constantly trying to throw me off track. I need to be away from them. That's very important. Like, you don't even know. That's so important. That's why when I was picking my roommates for college, one of the things that I did was make sure that I'm in a room with people who have goals. I'm gonna strategically say this. I made sure I'm an engineering major. That's very hard. It's very time consuming. It's very um demanding. It's a very demanding major. So when I was picking roommates, I wanted people who were either in engineering majors as well, that I knew would, you know, be able to kind of like help me stay focused or wouldn't be distractions to me, or nursing majors, or even law majors. So I made sure to be with someone in that major as opposed to someone whose major is less demanding. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that, because I don't want to shit on anyone's majors, because every college is hard nonetheless. But it'll be harder if you surround yourself with people who just are there to get drunk on Thirsty Thursday and do backflips in the middle of the night on campus and get arrested. I don't know. Yeah. The next thing is growth. Okay. Well, no. The next thing, like tying in the mindset, we're still on mindset. Do you have a fixed or a growth mindset? Do you think that you're at where you're at right now and you can't get anywhere else and this is where you're always going to be? Or do you think there's always room to grow, there's always room for improvement? Because let me tell you something, if you're at where you're at and you think this is your peak and you think that this is the best you're ever going to be, think again, because there's always room for improvement. You're not perfect. There is always something that you can be doing more and better. Not saying that what you're doing isn't enough, but you know when what you're doing is and isn't enough. There's always room for growth. And if you genuinely think that you don't need to grow as a person, you need to go back and reevaluate, because at no point of life should you ever be done growing, or should you ever be done learning, or should you ever be done experiencing the new positive experiences, not the negative experiences like snorting coke on the back of a trash can in an alleyway. You don't want to experience that. I wouldn't suggest that. Um, I actually would probably call the police on you if I saw that. But anyways, what do you want out of life? Do you want to grow? You should want to grow. Think about it. Think about what you want out of life. Do you want to go to school? Do you want a certain job? Do you want a certain car? Do you want certain clothes? Do you want money? Everyone wants money. I know you want money. I know you want money. So, you got to think about those things. And then you have to think to yourself, where do I need to grow to achieve that? If you know that you only work 4 times a week and 2 of those times out of the week you're always calling out, that's the area you need to grow. You need to stop being lazy. You need to get your butt up and you need to get to work. Because how are you going to be a millionaire if you don't go to work? How are you going to get 6 figures if you don't go to work? I'm confused. You're sitting here spending money that you don't have because you don't go to work. Get up and go to work. Like, how are you going to grow as a person if you're not even doing the little things? You need to be able to pick out those points in your life where you're not really doing your best. You know what I mean? You need to point out where your faults are, because you know yourself the best. You know yourself to the point where you know where you need to grow. Like, and it's really only going to help you out. Like, for instance, me, I know that a place where I need to grow is in terms of, my mindset. I know that sometimes my mindset isn't the most positive, and sometimes like when big changes happen, I I get deterred sometimes. I feel like everyone does, but I get deterred and start thinking inward sometimes and wondering like, am I like the problem? Which isn't bad to like want to know if you're the problem, but it's certain things that will genuinely be out of my control and have nothing to do with me that could like throw me off track a little bit. And I'm just sitting here like thinking like, what could I have done to prevent this? You know what I mean? So I know that place where I need to grow is just like with my mindset and how I allow certain things to happen, if that makes sense. Maybe I can think of a better example later, but yeah. So then after you pick out where you need to grow, you're going to start setting goals. Set goals that align with the person that you want to be. So just think to yourself what you want to be, how you want to achieve it, all those things, and start setting goals. And make them goals that you can like track. For instance, like make it like on a timeline. I feel like that's what helps me best. When I put my goals on a timeline and say I want this done by X, Y, and Z, it helps me. Like, for instance, with this podcast, I knew I was like, okay, I want this podcast to be up and running by um August, right? I was like, whatever happens, whatever goes on, whatever setbacks there are, I am going to make sure that this podcast gets out by August. I sat here and I thought about things, planned things out, and made sure that I did what I could for it to not be like rushed and be, of quality, etc., etc. Now, did those plans exactly work out? No, that was out of my control because the footage deleted. So I didn't get to put it out exactly when I wanted to, but we're still getting something out on the first week. You know what I mean? That's a moment where that was something that was out of my control. And my mindset in the moment was like, damn, like what could I have done to make this better? It's nothing I could have done. It's not my fault that the editing app wasn't working or glitched or whatever. And my computer ended up updating and the stuff just deleted. I'm very sad about that. It's a very upsetting experience. But yeah. So after you set your goals, you have to stay consistent. That's what's going on to our next thing, consistency. We already covered mindset, we already covered growth. Now we're at consistency. So stay with me. Once you set out your routine, you need not your routine, like your goals, you need to be consistent. But I am going to get into routine later. You can't achieve your goals if you're not successful. I mean, duh. You're not going to achieve your goals if you're not consistent. If you're sitting here and you want to get stronger, more defined arm muscles, and all you're doing is going to the gym once a week and expecting to reach your goal, and you're not intaking any protein, and you're barely going to the gym, and you're sitting here like, I wonder why my muscles aren't growing. How is that going to work? It's not, like, honestly, it's not. So you have to stay consistent because that's the only way that you're gonna reach your goals. Like, I can't sit here, like, for instance, let's say I want a car, right? I'm not gonna get the car that I want if I'm consistently not working and I'm consistently sitting on my butt in the house all day scrolling on TikTok. How am I gonna get the car if all I'm doing is laying back on my bed? How's that gonna work? Get up, go do what you need to do, and be consistent when you're doing it. And do it like your life depends on it. Okay? You have to have that mind. Like for me, my mindset is I'm always on go. No matter what, I'm always on go. You gotta get on go. You can't not be on go, honestly, in this world. I'm always on go. So you probably should always be on go too. If you're not even slightly putting your feet on the brakes. If your feet are like kind of like this on the accelerator, it needs to be all the way down, honestly. But don't put your foot all the way down to the point where it starts bringing you down up here, because it can get overwhelming. Take what you can take. You know what I mean? You know yourself. You know what you can take. But like I said earlier, you know when you're not doing enough. If you don't know, I'll make another video on that later to help you out. Because I gotta wrap this up. So yeah. In terms of consistency, make sure you're making a schedule or a routine to help you stay consistent. Make a schedule that aligns with who you want to be. So if I want to be more healthy, like fit, my schedule every day is going to be inclusive of someone who's fit and goes to the gym every day and eats healthy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to have on my schedule meal prep, gym, yoga, book, those things to help you stay consistent. Also, another thing is you can't just stop doing what you need to do because things are not working out right away. That's not going to work. Like, the best thing, I keep saying like gym stuff, but you can't expect to get a six pack and big bulldog muscles if you're only going to the gym once a week. You know what I mean? Or if you're going to the gym consistently for 2 weeks and then you're not seeing anything and then you just stop going to the gym, you're not going to get the muscles. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just stop working towards your goals just because you're not seeing the results that you want to see right then and there. And that goes for anything. That goes for your job, things that you want, how you want to look, the house that you want, stuff like that. Like, you can't just stop. Like, even with your grades, like, you've been working hard to get A's and you're not really hitting it yet, and then you're like, all right, let me just psych off. Like, no, you have to reach your goals. And then also, once you reach your goals, that isn't a sign like, all right, I hit what I want, let me just stop now. No, set a new goal, get your butt up and keep going. Like, don't be lazy. um yeah, just being consistency will get you closer to your goals in general. um and then also just take a second to realize, like, wherever you are in your journey, like, nonetheless, you are blessed. Like, it is a blessing to be able to get up and go to work, to go to the gym, to go to school, to do all those things, to get in your car. So don't take those things for granted, because at the end of the day, like, you were blessed to have those things. And you can't just sit here and just be like, oh my gosh, like, you know what I mean? Don't take it for granted, because it all could be gone within a second. Like, even your health. Like, a lot of people take their health for granted. Like, you could wake up one day and your health's like, I know how y'all feel when y'all go to sleep and you're feeling perfectly fine, and you wake up in the morning and you can't breathe out your nose anymore and your throat is sore. Like, then you're sitting here like, oh my gosh, I miss when I was healthy. Oh my god, da, da, da. Like, don't take stuff for granted. Don't take the things that you have in life for granted, because it's you never know if it might be gone. And a lot of people really don't appreciate what they have until it's gone. And that's just, it's gonna put you in a bad situation. I'm not even gonna lie. It's gonna put you in a bad situation. Um and also just know how to stay grounded. Like, when those bad things happen to you and when things aren't working out for you, you have to know how to stay grounded. You have to know, like, it could be worse. You know what I mean? But it's not worse. So let me stay grounded. Let me pray. You know, I hope that you um look up to a higher being of some sorts. That is, the Lord Almighty. But if it's not, I can't quite force you to do anything, but it's very helpful, knowing that you have the Lord on your side. Okay? Amen. So, with that being said, stay grounded. When things aren't going your way, realize that, God doesn't put you through things that you can't handle. He doesn't put you through things to purposely throw you off track or to put you down and keep you down. If something happens to you that isn't really on track for what you want, realize that it's not to bring you down. It's to teach you a lesson and to bring you back up. And that obviously is something that he does intentionally to keep you on track with your goals and get you to where you want to be, because God knows what you want. You know what you want, but you have to work towards it. But if you're not working towards it, or X, Y, and Z, certain things, he might have to, like, shake you up a little bit to bring you back on track. But nothing with the Lord is with ill intent. That's all I have to say about that. Because this will turn into a sermon extremely quick. And I know that that wasn't quite the topic of this podcast. So maybe next time, though. But yeah, that's pretty much it, honestly. I have a journal prompt for you guys. Um yeah, I'm gonna give you guys a journal prompt because we're coming to a close now. But just remember to stay consistent. Remember the key points that I said: consistency, mindset, growth, schedule, routine, inner circle, hustle, and you're gonna achieve your goals. So my prompt for y'all today is: who is the person that you want to be? Who do you want to be? What do you look like? What's your job? What's your car? What's your body look like? What do you eat? What do you wear? Who do you surround yourself with? Where do you go? All those things. Think about it, write it all down. Who's the person that you want to be? And once you figure out who you want to be, write it all down and put it somewhere you can see every day. So if you're ever feeling if you're ever feeling distracted or like things aren't working out, you know that it gets better, you know? It gets better. Um and you just have to remember that you're working towards this goal, and looking at it every day will also help your mindset be like, okay, like we're getting somewhere, we're getting somewhere, we're getting somewhere. Like it's gonna help you, and you're gonna be so freaking happy. You're gonna be so happy once you realize that you're achieving those goals, and it's just gonna take you to the top. It's gonna take you to the top. You're gonna be like, oh my god, I reached my goals. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Um, hope you guys enjoyed. This is unedited, unfiltered. I tried to be as filtered as possible, honestly. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, make sure you turn on the notifications, all the good juice, and just remain positive, remain happy. Stay tuned for the hot takes because I have a very, very special guest coming soon. And we have a lot of stuff to say, and we're going to shake up a lot of things, honestly. Um Stay tuned for the next podcast because this person is a hoot, honestly. Yeah. Have a good day, guys. You're loved. If no one told you today, I'm very proud of you. You're destined for greatness. Don't stop being who you are because other people can't see who you can be. Never lose sight of yourself, never lose confidence, but stay humble. And that's all I've got for you guys today. So yeah, bye guys.